Guys, what the fuck are we doing? Why am I watching Sword Art Online? Why is anyone watching Sword Art Online? How have we put ourselves in this position? Really, I did it to myself. I thought it would be funny. I thought, haha, I can make fun of Sword Art Online every single week for a year. That'll be fun. Free views, right? But the reality is that Sword Art Online is a sunken ship. The only people who still watch it are people who sincerely think that Season 3 is good now. Consider this idea. If you've made it to Season 3 of Sword Art Online, you must not have thought it was that fucking bad. Nobody who honestly hates this show is coming back for a third season. Unless they're really dedicated to trying to see the meme through to the end, or they're somebody like me who makes a profit off of shitting on the damn thing. Somehow, some way, there has been a popular opinion that SAO is just like better somehow. And I don't see it. I don't see how this is any different from what we had before. Still, nothing makes sense. Still, it's mostly characters standing around talking. It's boring as fuck. The characters are still completely one-dimensional. They're introducing all these new sci-fi elements that just make less and less sense the further we go in. The premise of this season hinges on the idea that the human soul is contained within light traveling through tubes in our fucking brain. What the fuck is this? It's been 6 years since the first season of Sword Art Online went to air and got unimaginably popular. But there really was no sustainability to that popularity in the first place, because it was never a show that was going to age well. Sword Art Online looked incredible in 2012. It was on the cutting edge of character design, had very modern digital processing, and it was about a subject matter everyone was interested in. We all wanted MMO-themed anime. Death game stories were extremely popular still. And just on the strength of its background art alone, I think is a lot of what carried the series. It convinced people that they really wanted to kind of live in this world. You had this push and pull of simultaneously being like, wow, I'd love to play this full-on fantasy VR game, but also there's this horrifying death game going on that I wouldn't want to be a part of. And that's remained kind of an undercurrent throughout the series, where Kirito always longs to go back to Aincrad, because in spite of what happened there, it was this monumentally fulfilling experience for him. As someone who never really had a place in the real world, who made his first real connections in this virtual world, and is really powerful there. But built on that premise and aesthetic is the flimsiest fucking story with the worst fucking characters, and just total nonsense in every aspect of its presentation. Reki Kawahara is a bad writer. Everything he's written is bad. He gets by on premise and on the brand recognition of people who are already emotionally invested in the stories and will continue consuming them for as long as possible. And eventually, when you start to get older and you start to recognize the problems in the earlier stuff, but then you see the newer stuff improving, yeah, it's gonna look like SAO is getting better, but it's going up from 1 to fucking 3! It's nothing! The whole thing is so bad that to get better doesn't mean anything! Now let me tell you another story. Back in 2014, I had about 75,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I had gained all of those from doing My Little Pony analysis. I switched gears and decided to do anime instead. In the process, most of my viewers became disinterested in my content. The first video I made that really got any significant attention was an hour of me shitting on Sword Art Online set to footage of me playing Terra Online. Initially, it got about 20,000 views, and people were more positive about it than I expected. I thought I was going to get railed for this video, because from my perspective, Sword Art Online seemed unbelievably popular, and I'd never seen any dissenting opinions on it besides my own. Moreover, up until actually watching the show all the way through for the sake of that video, I had thought of it as merely a mediocre series. I'd only seen the first 7 episodes at the time that the show was actually airing. Looking back on it 2 years later, I realized it was much worse than I had first thought. So I shit on it really brutally for a really long time. And that was the first thing that started to get me some pull as an anime YouTuber. So of course, when Season 2 started airing, I decided to tackle that as well. and my videos on season 2 were the most successful that I'd ever done at the time. So I kind of became the guy who shits on SAO. And people really wanted me to do more of it. People wanted me to cover the last couple arcs of season 2, which I never actually did. I had lots of reaction videos of me watching episodes that people were clamoring for. I've got the whole reaction to the first season. My first time watching it has been a patron reward thing that a lot of people really enjoy. And amongst my real life group of friends, Sword Art Online became a meme. Because it wasn't really even me hating the show that had propelled me to do the video. It was that my brother really hated the show, and so to the two of us and his eventual fiance, it was like a big meme where we would all make fun of Kirito all the time and talk about SAO. So it was like a part of our lives. And when the movie came out, I was gonna do like a huge special on the movie. I was gonna like bring back SAO shitting in a big way, but the video fell through. It had too many components and I just didn't end up finishing it. We did a vlog instead, and that vlog was also really successful. However, over time, it became that I could no longer just be the guy who shits on SAO, because everyone started shitting on SAO, because they realized how many views you could get by mentioning this show because it's the most popular show. Go over to my anime list. It's like in the top 3, or maybe even number 2, like second most viewed show, like listed by people on the website. It is insanely big. I heard the Sword Art Online opening theme in a fucking Hot Topic once. One time I made a video called How to Make a Popular SAO Video, and the conceit of the video was that all you have to do is put SAO in the title and thumbnail and you'll get a shitload of views. And that video proved the point by getting a whole lot of views for being a fucking After Dark vlog, which averaged like 10,000 views, and this one has like 70k. In a way, I feel like something was taken from me. I always wanted to come back to SAO because it was such a personal meme to me. I did a whole rewrite of the first season. I didn't end up actually writing the whole thing, but I had extensive plans for it that I'd posted on my subreddit way the hell back. I was even starting to write a script for it. I became kind of obsessed with it because it's a story that has so many good ideas laying at the foundation that it just doesn't utilize well. It's a show that I feel is abhorrently awful, but without having to tweak an amazing amount of things, it could be made into a great show. Naturally, I do not think that season 3 took the approach of what I would have done to make it one. I mean, at this point, it's just Reki Kawahara just fucking doing whatever comes to mind with these characters. He's got his cast, and he just throws them into new scenarios. There's no real thematic coherence, no narrative coherence, not that there ever was. And all he knows how to write is expository dialogue of characters sitting or standing around saying shit at each other, with the most paper-thin characterization I've almost ever seen. But the thing about SAO is that it's never been fun to watch. It's fun to make fun of, but it's not fun to actually sit through. It's not a funny bad show. It's just bad and kind of sad, but it's also fascinating to think about. It's fascinating to think about how popular it got in spite of being so bad. It's fascinating to consider why people like the show. It's fascinating to consider how it could have been good. But, like, actually watching it as a funny meme, it just doesn't work. And I've really been, like, putting these episodes through the fucking meat grinder, trying to find enough funny things to do with them to make a 4-minute video. But the thing is that in the end, the idea of Digibros returning to Sword Art Online, it just doesn't have the same gravity that it could have had at a time either earlier in my career or at a time before everyone else had already jumped on this dog pile. Because of the fact that I kind of let it breathe between seasons 2 and 3 and didn't come back to this, whereas tons of other people jumped on the SAO hate bandwagon in like the years intervening, in the time when the show wasn't even at a height of relevance. It became so uncool to even like SAO that having a negative opinion of it is no longer something special. It's just how everyone seems to feel. Again, when I made my original videos, I didn't even know that there was a contingent of people who didn't like SAO. Now, it seems weird to think that there are people who like the show, even though it's still one of the most popular anime of all time. And it's so evident to me that the people who are championing the new show as, like, better are people who didn't hate SAO. They did not hate it up until this point. They've just been made to understand why people hate it. They've been forced to confront its problems because everyone shits on it constantly. And so when they see it as improving, they're like, hey guys, it's not as bad as you all said it was this time. It's still just as fucking bad. The core problems are all there. The fact that it is like a modicum better because the art looks a little better, the fight scenes aren't as stupid, Kirito isn't as impenetrable, there's a little more going on in the plot. None of this makes the show good. It just makes it slightly less garbage, but most of the show is still characters fucking standing around. But here's the real kicker at the end of all of this. At the start of October, I had just reached 370,000 subscribers, finally. I'd been trapped in the 360 range for a while. I finally broke 370k. And at the start of the month, I began my new big series, very passionately shitting on something that I felt strongly about, much in the same way as the SAO videos from way back in 2014. Steins Gate Zero sucks. Bred from a place of real, genuine emotion towards seeing a show that I consider to be one of my favorites, dragged through the mud by a second season that I felt was cynical and ugly and terrible. And based on the title alone, I burned a few hundred subscribers. Not a huge amount, but it didn't restabilize immediately. I lost a few hundred and then it was kind of, neck and neck, gaining some, losing some as the month went on. And yet when that video came out, there was not a lot of actual complaint about the content. It had a lot of dislikes. It didn't perform all that well on r/anime, where generally everyone loved Steins Gate Zero. And yet the comments were not particularly negative. People didn't seem to have any particular problem with the points that I was making, except for people who were blaming me not playing the visual novel for not understanding the plot, as if somehow the visual novel matters to your experience of the fucking anime. It was a weird and perplexing scenario where it was very apparent that there were just a lot of people who didn't want to hear someone saying Steins Gate Zero sucks. They didn't care if the point I was making was good or bad, they just didn't want to hear it. And so throughout October, I mostly was bouncing between these negative videos on Steins Gate Zero and these negative but very mimetic videos on Sword Art Online Season 3. Finally, at the very end of the month, I put out a video unironically praising a singular aspect of Sword Art Online Season 3. Just saying, hey guys, this fight scene was not terrible. I actually kind of enjoyed it. If I had to give the fight a score, I'd probably give it like a 5.5 out of 10. It was slightly above average. It was certainly above the mediocrity that you usually get on this show. I wouldn't even say that I gave the fight or the episode glowing praise. I just talked about the positives of it for a decent clip of time. Like, breaking down all the reasons that it is okay takes some time, and therefore you're hearing positive reinforcement for several minutes on end. And it was this video that made me finally regain all those subscribers. Finally, after having been stagnant for most of the month of October, I started gaining more subs. And it quickly became apparent to me that this is because I'm being positive about Season 3 of Sword Art Online. And the only people watching this show are pretty positive about it, because it's all people who have made it through the jungle of SAO 1 and 2 to arrive at Season 3 and then to have their socks knocked off by the fact that the show's a little better now. Anyone else is tired of the meme. Anyone else is like, yeah, I stopped watching it years ago. I'm already sick of people shitting on it. I get it. It's bad. I get it. It's bad. And to me, it's still funny as like this weird connection I have to this show because it's been around for so long and it's been such a meme in my life, and I'm the guy who first was the guy who shits on SAO on YouTube. So to me, there is some level of personal connection and affection for it, but I don't really think it's translating in the videos. I don't think people really feel this same like mimetic kinship with the show. It seems more like people, even who enjoy the videos, are kind of like, yeah, haha, I get it, like we're shitting on SAO still. And I've tried to make them unique. I've tried to shit on it in ways that are more, esoteric and like really getting more creative with the way I do it than simply ranting about the show like I used to. But it just seems like the spark isn't there. People are not like gung-ho about someone shitting on SAO again, regardless of how it's done, because people just want it to be over with. The people who enjoy the show are obviously happy, but everyone else is like, can we just forget about this thing? Can we move on? Can we stop having SAO take up so much of our lives? And to be honest, I wouldn't have even made a series like this if not for the fact that I know I can be negative about SAO, and at the very least my natural audience who's been with me for a long time will be reticent to the idea of like, yeah, SAO is a bad show that we should shit on. But even they don't really care anymore. But if I'm going around shitting on, say, Goblin Slayer, which is a show that people actually care about right now, it's going to be the same story as Steins Gate Zero. People don't want to hear Goblin Slayer sucks, even though a bunch of people have been saying it and most of them have gotten shit for it. The fact of the matter is that anime has not been great this year for me. I'm sure for some people it's been perfectly fine. For me, I haven't really gotten much of what I would consider to be good this year. And even the stuff that I have gotten has been extremely unpopular and not stuff that can really help me to talk about. And the stuff that's been really bad and popular, I just don't feel that it's bad in a unique enough way to be worth talking about. The things that catch my attention the most are sequels to shows that I love because I have a real reason to be angry about them. But then people go around enjoying stuff like Steins Gate Zero, so I feel pretty out of touch with the anime community when there's a bunch of people praising the show that I thought was abjectly awful. And when I get mired in this sort of negativity towards this current stuff, I feel like there's a lot of people who think you're just jaded or like anime can't be bad, it must be you who's getting old or something. But like, I can go back and watch the shows I love and they're all still great, and I can point out why the new stuff's not good and why the old stuff was good, and there's tons of logical reasons why this would be the case if you know anything about the industry and how it's operating. But at the end of the day, the best way I can convince you is just to teach you how good the good stuff actually is, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on more going forward. I don't really want to continue being negative about stuff because I don't think it's very convincing. I don't think a lot of people want to hear someone saying anime is bad now and all the stuff you like is bad. I'd rather just convince you that the stuff I like is good and let you come to whatever conclusions you come to yourself. So very soon I'm going to be starting up a huge series about Log Horizon, the show that I have always had as like my photo negative of SAO, the show that does everything right and that I love to pieces, and I think has gotten really underrated over the years. It's really a shame that the meme of shitting on SAO has perpetuated, yet the meme of praising Log Horizon has not. And I also am really sick of this meme that Season 2 of Log Horizon is bad, because it's not true at all. Season 2 is fucking phenomenal. It may not be quite as perfect as Season 1, but it's incredible. And like, I think the show's reputation over time has taken a weird turn because of the fact of this idea in the ether that Season 2 is somehow not good. So anyways, I'm going to be bringing that in a massive series soon, and probably talking about other shows I love, because I look at this and I just don't give a fuck anymore. I don't know how many episodes I can sit through of characters standing around talking and doing nothing and me making memes about it and then going on fucking 4chan and people are like, Season 3 is good though now. Like, fuck off. You're a fucking idiot. Anyway, that's enough of me ranting. Subscribe to the I Am Games channel if you want to see me start up a series where I'm going to go through every single one of the Tales of games and analyzing them in depth. You can also watch a bunch of stream uploads and stuff. It's a good channel. It's fun. That's all for now. Peace out, bitch.